Hi there, how are you doing? I hope you are doing well, plus your loved ones. My name is Elsie Kayugira, and welcome to another episode of Child of Mine. Now, before we begin the topic of today, I have this book, Child of Mine. It's called Child of Mine, 38 Days of Affirmations. So each day has an affirmation, a statement there to just strengthen that affirmation for your child, and then a Bible verse. Now, this book is meant to encourage, uplift your child, give them a daily dose of who they are and what they are in Christ. So you need this book for your child and even for you, because some parents have said this one not only speaks to their kids, but even themselves. So 30 Days of Empowering Affirmations is your gadget for every day. Now, if you want to get it, you can just call the numbers on the screen there, and then we'll chat on how you can get it or it can be delivered to you. Thank you so much. So today we would love to talk about father wounds. Now, what is father wounds? We want to know all that entails father wounds, what causes father wounds, and what can be done so that someone who's already been wounded by their father, how they can heal to also become a better parent to their children and avoid wounding them. So thank you so much. Can you tune in, please? And with me to help me to tackle this topic is he's a father. Yes, and he's also a counseling psychologist, and I will do him justice, just give him an opportunity to talk more about himself. Karibu sana.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Elsie.
Yes.
My name is Moffat. People call me Moffat Mushauri because of the nature of work that I do. Otherwise, my official names, the ones that you can find on my ID,
Yes,
is Moffat Kago.
Kago.
Yes, I am a counselor, psychologist, like you have rightly put it. And I'm also a marriage and family therapist, specializing in matters, families, marriage, and everything that is within a family.
I see.
And on top of that, I am also a mentor. I mentor young professionals in the area of counseling. I also mentor families and couples. Last week we were in Kigali. I had taken a group of professionals as well as students, but the focus was the family, because in as much as we are professionals, we come from families.
Yeah, true.
And we had gone there to talk about trauma so that people can have safe spaces within a family, safe space to talk about their family injuries,
Yes.
to talk about their trauma, talk about toxicity that they went through. So we had a very good time. Yeah, in the family. And much of the things that people struggle with emanate from the family. The injuries. I love your topic for today, the father wounds, because you realize that many people are suffering because of emotional, psychological, mental injuries inflicted on them by their loved ones.
Yeah.
So basically that is Moffat.
Yeah.
And Moffat is also a lecturer at Pan-Africa Christian University.
Wow. Okay.
Awesome.
The list is going on.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much for having me.
Karibu sana, and thank you so much for being here. Now, what's a father wound?
Wow. A father wound entails so many things. And let me answer that question by trying to define what a family is, because that is where a father is found.
Yes.
We cannot talk about a family without mentioning a father.
Yeah.
And a family is a place where people ought to run to when the outside world is hurting, and they get comforted. They have somebody to nurse their wounds, to bandage them, to comfort them, to validate them, and all manner of things. So that is a family. I would actually say it's God's ideal picture for a family.
I see.
That the outside world is hurting, and therefore they people run to the family and they get comforted.
Like a place of refuge.
It's a place of refuge. Now, a father wound happens when the opposite of that happens within the family.
Okay.
The outside the world is hurting.
And the inside the home is
when you run
hurting.
To your home, instead of being comforted, a father who is the leader of that family or any other family member inflicts more pain on such a person. And a father wound happens because of a father's presence or absence.
Okay.
The two can cause father wound. Somebody said that if you would want to measure the impact of a father, look at what happens when he is present and what happens when he leaves.
Okay.
Okay. Now, fathers have been involved in a lot of emotional, psychological pain being inflicted on their children, and especially the sons. Okay. And the relationship between a father and a son is actually work. It has to be worked for.
Yeah.
Because psychology will talk about the Oedipus complex. The Oedipus complex is the situation whereby the first sexual figure to a boy child is the mother.
The man. Oh, the mother.
Yes. And the first sexual figure to a girl child is the father. Okay. Now, in physics, we were told that like poles repel.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, when we come to father-son relationship, unless there is work done in that arrangement, the natural thing that is likely to happen is that
yes,
you are likely to repel.
Yes. So that's why you're saying it has to be work.
There has to be work because this boy, according to Sigmund Freud, this son is competing to have the mother with the father. The son and his father, they are competing to have the mother. Okay. And Sigmund Freud talks about this Oedipus complex, that there is a natural tendency of a son and a father repelling unless something is done. Okay. It doesn't come easy. I have a daughter and I have two sons, and I can tell you the chemistry between a father and a daughter is almost automatic. Okay.
Yeah.
But the chemistry between the father and the son, there has to be work, there has to be intentionality, you have to be deliberate. Now, the father wound comes when the father fails to be intentional and deliberate to reach out to the son or to reach out to that child. Because I'm not saying that father wounds only happens between a father and a son.
I was just about to ask that.
Yeah. They also had their daughters.
Oh.
Okay. There is also a moment when the father can be so cruel to the children, whether they are daughters or sons. But I just decided to talk about the son because there's a lot of intentionality that ought to be there for a relationship between a father and a son to happen. Okay. So that is what generally causes the father wounds. And it starts from the very elementary stages of a child.
Like from the moment they're
born, the moment the child comes, father wounds can begin to happen.
How so?
It can happen because, like for example, when the first child comes, and the two of you and your husband, do not know how to really navigate through this new role that you have been thrown into.
Yeah.
And the father is being told by the husband is being told by the wife, would you kindly help me with the baby? He's crying at night. And the father begins to run away from such a child. Right? And they grow up not knowing. God is so amazing because did you know that the first smell, or rather the first, what do you call it? The first sense to be developed in a human being is the sense of smell.
Sense of smell.
And who is this person that the child gets to know how they smell? It's their mother.
The mother, yeah.
Because of the milk.
Yes.
That's why when the mother gets into the room, that toddler, that baby, they start turning their eyes because they can tell somebody has gotten into the room. Meaning that the relationship between a mother and a child begins right from conception. They start communicating.
Yeah.
That's why when the child is not playing in the womb, the mother will be so worried they will even go to the hospital. Research has it that when an expectant woman is depressed or stressed, there is that
Even
communication, and even the child is not communicating. It's not playing. It's quiet. Now, I want you to tell me, if the mother will start communicating with the child from the time they are conceived, then when they are born, they start communicating through smell, right?
Yeah.
All the way to around when the child will start trying to mention some names, mama,
yes. Yes.
That is now when the mother begins to teach the child to also say baba.
Baba, true.
Okay? So the man is being introduced, the child is being introduced to their father by their mothers. So there is a natural phenomenon that happens between a mother and a child. And therefore, they can communicate, unlike the father. So we see the aspect of intentionality and being deliberate as far as her father is concerned, right from the time when the child is very small. So father wounds can begin to happen from that particular point, when you begin to promise them something and you don't deliver as a father.
Wow.
And especially today, where a father has been reduced to a wallet father.
Yes.
That the only thing they think is the best thing for them to do is provision.
Provide.
Okay? And the father-child relationship is more than provision. Many times, when we do not have money to buy bicycles and to buy those toys, we keep lying to them that I'll bring you tomorrow.
Yes.
I'll bring you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow comes and children can be very adamant, reminding you, and it is not forthcoming to the point that they even stop asking for them. The second father wound that starts happening at that particular stage is when they begin to see you as a father molesting their mother. No wonder somebody said that the best gift a man can give to children is loving their mother.
Right. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So they begin to see you causing chaos in that home. They begin to see you hurling insults to the mother. Being distant. Children are very good at even reading our behaviors. They can actually look at your face and they can tell whether you come in peace
yes.
or not.
Yes.
So at that point, we begin to create further wounds because a child begins to feel that this woman who has fed them, who has been there for them, who started communicating with them right from inception, is now being attacked. Okay? That's another further wound that is happening still within the family. The other one is the absence. We are so busy. We are not there. And remember, at this point, we are talking about small children. We are absent. We are nowhere to be found. We are not there even during school meetings. We are absent. We begin to cause further wounds. Let me tell you one thing that happened to me. I was busy running an errand in town, and my son had a graduation.
Yes.
And he really wanted me to be there. And I was needed elsewhere. So I sought his consent, yes. I told him, let me rush to town, but by the time you are being called to be awarded, I'll be back. But then guess what happened?
Yeah,
I got held up. So by the time I came, names had been called. The chief guest was a senior police officer, and my son really wanted to be taken as a snap with the chief guest and the father, who is not there.
Oh, no.
Let me tell you, by the time I arrived and my son saw me, and he was a pretty small child.
Yes.
Graduating from grade six. No, Kepsea.
Ah.
And when he saw me, he started crying.
Oh, no.
He cried. I tried to console him.
The event had already ended.
It had ended. We actually had to call the chief guest, who was on his way to the car, to come. I had actually to plead with the chief guest to come so that we can be taken a snap, because he felt he had missed that moment.
Wow.
That's what a father would.
Oh, no.
And especially when we are not quick to apologize, to say sorry. I had to apologize a lot of times for that boy to recover. It was so bad for him. But do you know what we do? We trivialize their pain, because they are just children.
They're just children. They'll forget.
They will forget. And therefore we trivialize that pain, and life begins to move as if nothing happened.
Wow. At what age can you say this one will forget? Like, for sure.
They can't.
At what age will a child forget?
A child cannot forget.
Oh. Even a 2-year-old.
Let me tell you something.
Yes.
You see, even matters to do with the issues that happen within a family. Like, say, loss and grief. Maybe a family has lost a loved one. And many times we put away children thinking that they are not understanding. They do. Well, it's only that they don't have the language to say how they feel. And that is why they start even playing out. If I had time to talk about how children grieve, they grieve in bits and pieces. Okay? But they are grieving. Unlike us who are wailing and doing all manner of things, they are grieving. Why? Because we say, if a child is big enough to love, they are big enough to grieve.
Oh, true.
So,
what?
Going back to your question, at what point do you discover that your child loves you?
Eh?
At what point did you discover that they are
my child?
They are throwing some gestures of love, and they are running to you, wanting to check whether you have brought them some chocolate?
Very young, even at 1.
I'm telling you, so they don't forget. People need to know that there is the only difference between a child and a grown-up is that a child is clothed in a child's body. Unlike you, when with yako ni kubwa, you can reason, you can do a lot of things, you can be logical. For them, they have not attained that age, but in their own language, because they have a language that they understand, they don't forget.
So we need to stop assuming that this child will forget.
That is an assumption that people have, and it is far from the truth. That is why you can remember there are some, and especially something that hurts a child. Even you think about some experiences you had as a child.
Very many.
You have so many of them. So children, let us not assume that they forget, and therefore let us not trivialize their pain, because that is also another thing that will cause the father wound. That's a child for you. Now, this child begins to enter teenage. Now, one characteristic of emerging or maturation is breaking away from family norms. And this happens around the teenage, 13, 12, 13, like that. Now, because they are breaking away from family norms, the father who was never there when this child was small begins to come in and saying, I cannot allow this to happen in my home. And they begin to feel frustrated because the child is now emerging. They are gravitating to what God created them to become. And one characteristic of that is when they begin to break away from family norms. That thing that father has had as a norm of the family begins to be challenged by teenage.
Like even having a family prayer time or something.
It begins to be challenged. As a matter of fact, they will begin even to say they don't believe in God.
Oh, yeah.
And I have seen many parents feeling so worried. Their teenagers telling them, I don't believe in God.
Yes.
I remember one of them telling me, religion is blackmail. Yeah, because they are now beginning to be logical. They can analyze. They can question.
Oh, yeah.
And they want to have their own identity that is different from others. Teenagers want to be different.
I see.
So the same father who was not there and who did not work with them,
yes,
and who inflicted a lot of father wounds as far as childhood is concerned, now begins to come and they want to stamp their authority.
Dictates.
Okay?
Yes.
And what do they do because of the frustration of this emergence? They begin to hurl insults at them. They begin to beat them. They are not even able to transition with them so that they can even change the way they discipline their children. So you used to use a stick when they were small. They are now 13, 14, 15, teenagers, 18, 19. As a matter of fact, I've listened to many cases where fathers are caning their university-going students. Beating.
That one sounds gross.
It is happening. And they want to stamp their authority. Little do they know that they lost it many years ago.
Many years ago.
Yeah. So this child is still having those wounds. Okay? Now you are now beginning to verbalize. You are very useless. You are good for nothing. You will end up in jail. You know, all manner of things.
Yes.
So the wounds zinaanza kukua kubwa. You see?
Alafu sasa saizi they are at teenage where everything is so vivid and the memories are so mature and all.
That is it.
Coupled with what they went through when they were young.
Yes.
That was in the subconscious. Now begins to erupt. Now it's chaotic.
It's now chaotic. And the parent is frustrated. They don't know what to do. Some of them even start calling police on them because they are rebelling. What we are calling rebellion. Which is actually, to a large extent, a normal human growth and development.
So as a parent, I need to know that when my child reaches a teenage stage, they'll naturally be question everything.
They question everything. And you've got to be there to answer all those questions. They will start even telling you, like, we want to change that church. It's boring. We want to go to a different one. So when the father hears that, or the mother, they begin to throw tantrums. They begin to do all manner of things. They are so hard on them. But they're just being natural. They are questioning. They are questioning even the existence of God. And it's important for us to explain to them.
Yes.
Many times I tell them it's okay. It's a natural, normal question. And I am here to answer your questions. It is okay to feel that way sometimes.
Okay.
But many times, just to keep on track, the father wound, we begin to react in a not very nice way. Insults, beating, being rude at them, withdrawing privileges, connecting with them on the basis of how they perform academically. So your relationship with them becomes conditional. So you begin to injure them even further. Because you are saying, unless you bring me an A,
yes,
you are not my son.
Yes.
In other words, that's what you are saying.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
And you begin even to discriminate them. Because their sister or their brother performs very well, they are taken for a tour in Dubai or wherever else. And for you, the other child is being told, until such a time when you bring for me an A, as if they are bringing it to you to take it anywhere. You are telling them, you are not my son, you are not my daughter. Another wound. Now, tunaendelea sio? It goes past teenage, and you begin now to force them to probably pursue a career that so much fits you as a parent. But for them, maybe they are telling you, for me, I want to do drama and theater. And for you, you want them to be doctors.
Yes, and engineers.
And they are not hearing none of the above. So you begin to force them. I have seen parents forcing children to pursue courses that they are not wired for. Another wound. Then from there, they begin naturally, as a human being, being in relationships. Okay? They have a boyfriend, they have a girlfriend. Maybe they have cleared university. And you don't approve of that. And you begin to say all manner of things to them because they are in a relationship that you don't want. Some other times they are dating people who are not your class.
Yeah.
And you begin to, again, verbalize some nasty, toxic words to these children. The father won't.
They continue,
They continues to widen. Sometimes you even reject them. They have brought their boyfriends or girlfriends asking you for blessings. They want to settle down. And you are saying, this is not our type. They are not as educated as I have educated you.
Yes.
You see?
Yes.
And you begin to lose them. So this person begins to settle down in marriage with a lot of father wounds. And they are not able to cope. They are not able to connect with you as their father. So you have lost them. So when they go and they have sorted, because either way, whether you like it or not, they will go and settle down with that man or with that woman. And then you start cursing them that they don't come to check on you or to visit you. Because sometimes even this nonsense that we have in Kenya that you cannot marry from a certain tribe. Yeah. Okay? Yeah. And because they loved each other and they went ahead and they settled, now because of the strained relationship, they don't even have the basis to come and visit you.
Yes.
Not that they do not want, actually. There's so much, the heart is so much willing, but there's such a huge rift right from childhood to where they are. One thing has been very constant. You have been there to inflict pain and wounds in them. And therefore you start cursing them from a distance, from the village. They don't come to visit me. You start embarrassing them. And all manner of things. In fact, I remember some years back, somebody being embarrassed by in this case, it was a mother who had not approved of their marriage because the boy is, the son is getting married to a different community or a person from a different community. And the mother had the guts to embarrass the son, in the presence of guests and the friends, and the people. And I remember because I was involved in that wedding, I felt so embarrassed, and the children went wherever I took them because I'm the one who took them. They went crying, in the car, went crying. It's a wound because even mothers can cause wounds. Yes. It's only that today we are talking about father wounds. Mothers, they can also inflict serious wounds. And I can tell you that for such a couple, for such children to come back to you with such kind of a wound, it will take God's miracle.
True.
So that is what father wounds is all about.
Can these father wounds be passed on without knowing?
Oh my goodness. That's another whole topic. It can be passed on. Why?
Oh.
Because we only give what we have.
Oh, true.
Hardly, unless God helps you and you seek counseling and therapy so that you can be aware, you are likely to pass down. I have written a book, should have carried a copy here, called Breaking Transgenerational Family Chains. Let's talk about those wounds. We hand over like a baton. The baton that we hand over during the relays?
Yes.
We hand over those batons to our children subconsciously without us knowing. Because you cannot give what you don't have. You only give what you carry. In swearing and vowing how you will not treat your child the way you are treated, you find yourself subconsciously because in yourself, in your heart, in your mind, you carry pain. So there is something that your daughter, your son will do that is likely to trigger something that was formed as a result of what you went through with your parents, and it triggers that.
Yes.
And you respond the same way your parents responded to you.
Respond to you.
And you pass it down. So it's a resounding yes. that it can actually be carried down to generations.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, can it before maybe you get married, you've been wounded, and before you get there, maybe dating and marriage, can the wounds come out in other relationships, maybe with your colleagues?
Oh, yes. Let me tell you, somebody who is carrying wounds from the family, especially from a father, number one, there's a likelihood. Say, for example, it's a lady, and you've been hurt terribly by your father. Chances are you are going to be very skeptical on matters relationships, because remember we said that a father is the first sexual figure to a girl child. So if your relationship between you and your father was betrayed, there's a likelihood that you are going to be skeptical. Okay? Because you actually didn't know how to treat other men by observing your father. Okay? I have counseled with people who have told me, the reason why I cannot understand why my marriage is like this is because I grew up with a very caring father. You can hear a lady saying something like that, telling you that they observe, they learn, and they have a model of how a man ought to be. So if that never happened, there's a likelihood of such a woman coming into this marriage with a lot of wounds and with a lot of skepticism about men. So skeptical. And you begin to feel like your husband is going to treat the way you were treated by your father, or the way you saw your father treating your mother. Okay? So you are so skeptical. You are not even able to allow this man fully into your heart because you have got some question marks, and you are hypervigilant. Okay? And that is why we say there are some women whose marriages do not work, not because their husbands are not approved, but because they are so skeptical. They are so hypervigilant to the point that they do what? They jeopardize their own relationships. They begin to wear some funny lenses when they are looking at their men. And maybe the man is innocent. He actually doesn't even understand where you are coming from. But because of hypervigilance, because of anxiety, because of the distorted disposition of life that your father planted, you begin to wear those lenses, and you begin to look at your husband wearing those lenses. And before you know it, you sabotage your own marriage.
Men and women, you need counseling before marriage.
Yeah. Yeah. You sabotage your own marriage, not because your man had any issue, but because the image that you are carrying about a man coming from your father is so distorted. It is possible. You can heal. And how do you heal? Number one, I take you back to child. Connect with the child in you. There is a child in else. That child.
How does it come out?
That child, go into her world, and first of all, affirm her, that child in you, that it wasn't her fault. Because many times, children tend to project everything onto themselves. So there is a likelihood that somebody is saying, maybe, children will say, maybe I wasn't good enough to have my father stick around, or to have my father treat me well. That's the way children interpret such toxic situations, because they are not logical. They are not grown enough to be logical and to interpret stuff like adults. So many times they project onto themselves. And there are some people, working adults, whose child in them is still stuck in childhood, and they are not able to forgive themselves. So number one, begin by telling yourself it wasn't your fault. Okay? Number two, accept that it happened. Like what we have said, many children will begin saying, and the child in you will keep saying, maybe it was my fault. Okay? So we have started by saying, accept that it wasn't your fault. It is somebody else who treated you the way they did because of reasons that you don't understand. So it wasn't your fault. Number two, accept that it happened. That in as much as it wasn't your fault, it happened to you and it left you feeling ABCD. Right? Number three, seek help. Okay? Talk about it. Once you realize that it wasn't your fault, then it goes without saying that you got a distorted disposition of life that needs to be relearned. We can relearn something. You know, there's a tendency of us forming an opinion about everything because of our traumatic experiences. Like, for example, this statement that they say many times that all men are dogs or they are beasts. I usually say that is a statement that came from one injured woman, and she generalized. So you need to relearn and know that all men are not beasts. There are some who are actually out to help you heal. They are angels and they can help you heal your father wounds, by the way. Yes, I have worked with the couples and I have had moments of empowering men or husbands to help their wives heal from their father wounds. And it is possible once they are empowered, because they may not know what is happening, but once they are exposed to that information and they are empowered, they can actually embrace. They can actually provide the father deficit that you are missing, so that after they have provided it, they can also now graduate to the point of letting you know, by the way, in as much as I try to provide this, I'm not your father.
Yeah.
I'm your husband.
Yeah.
They can help you recover and heal and embrace, validate, nurse your wounds, bandage your wounds, and all that.
Until it dries up.
Until it dries up.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. One thing I get is there is hope. No matter what age your child is, no matter how old you as a father is, and you had your child, your son, there is hope. You have the opportunity and the chance. Do it now. Seek reconciliation, seek forgiveness, and seek God's guidance towards it. And another thing very important that I take from is, fathers, you have a lot of work to do to create relationships and good relationships with your sons. It doesn't come naturally as the way mothers comes. For fathers, you have to work it out. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this one will heal you who is hurting, and I hope you seek the guidance that you so need and deserve. Thank you so much. Have a nice time. Bye-bye.